Good morning. Today we're going to be trying something a little bit different because they want us to try a completely virtual lesson. So that means you'll be watching this video on Tinine, obviously, and you will start with a bunch of different documents. Actually, only one document, but a bunch of different activities within the document. It's a project that we're going to be doing for the next couple of days. Part of that project you may have to do at home. It's called My Organism Project. The reason for doing a little bit of work at home is because you aren't going to have a huge amount of time, but you will be able to work on it during class, and whatever you don't get done during class, you'll have to continue on with. So that's what we're going to be working on over the next couple of class periods. Today, you're going to have half of the class period working on your own, and then after that, if you wish to, you can start discussing some of those parts of the document with other individuals. Mr. H will let you know when that will be. So let's start off here, looking at the do now. What is a consumer that eats only meat? I'd like you to put the answers in the, obviously in Tinine and the do now section for all three of these, and I'll just read them myself after you're done with them. Number two, if you increase the amount of prey, what would happen to a predator's population? And then number three, is a decomposer a consumer? Why or why not? At this point, I'd suggest pausing the video so that you have a little bit of time to answer those questions and get back on to the next part. So here we go. And welcome back. As far as today goes, you need your My Organism project, and don't forget to write down that home learning as well. Today, you don't have any notes or vocab. Starting off as always, three something cools. So passwords, numerical or typing out alphanumerical passwords, not terribly strong. They can be brute hacked pretty easily. So somebody's developed a new type of software that actually makes it really difficult to hack your password. And what it does, it uses a little sensor that tracks and monitors your heartbeat, because your heartbeat makes a different sound than anybody else's heartbeat, both in rhythm and in pitch, how often it beats, and so all you have to do is literally just stick your finger. It's not a fingerprint scanner, it's just a fingerprint reader, and it uses your own heartbeat as your password to get into all of your devices. Really, really difficult to try to fake that, or to try to get it, have somebody break in trying to mimic your own password. So second, this is something known as the Atlas moth. It is the largest moth on the planet. It's huge. The interesting thing about it, though, is, well, it can grow up to like 40 centimeters in wingspan, which is completely massive. They don't actually have a mouth, because they are only alive in this state after they pupate, so they are changed from a caterpillar into the moth. They're only alive for about 3 days before they pass away. So they don't really need a mouth in that case. The wings are also a fashion item. A lot of people sometimes, if they collect the moth itself after it dies, they use the wings as a pattern for purses. I think in Taiwan, they're really quite big. Not like large. I mean, like, people find that they're pretty cool. Anyway, third something cool. Here's a billboard in, I think it's in Prague. But one of the designers here of the billboard, kind of like that teddy bear in London that was measuring air quality, this particular billboard has a live image of a person, and they put them around bus stops and other places, and they have a little sensor on the TV to measure air quality as well, specifically for people that are smoking nearby. The person on the billboard will start coughing if the air quality starts getting bad. So if you have a number of people standing around this bus stop who begin to smoke, or if they're smoking within too close of an area, then the billboard person will actually start coughing in real time, which is kind of crazy, but also a really cool invention. So anyway, today we begin with My New Organism, or My Organism project. It looks something like this in Tinine. If you click on that, you come up with this document right here. Sorry, I was all the way at the bottom. And what we have is a project. There's quite a bit to it. There are 5 parts. So just like in chemistry, how we had like one massive project at the end that showcase your learning, same sort of thing you're going to have with this new organism. Now, the idea behind it is, as a scientist, you are still flying around Rig Penton 3 and you've come across a solar system with a planet that has life on it. And therefore, you've been sent to study that life and collect information about it. Now, there are a few things that you have to give me. First, you have to come up with the planet name. You're going to be using that both for geology and for astronomy. And you also have to come up with an organism, a brand new organism name. Yes, you do have to be able to pronounce this organism, so you can't just put a bunch of random letters together. There are 5 parts, like we said. Part 1, what you're going to have to do is describe the ecosystem of the planet that your organism that you want to try to create. Describe the ecosystem that it lives in. Describe the temperature, the amount of rain or water that's available, sunlight, if it needs energy from sun or not, and describe the landscape. I want you to do all of this before you come up with the organism itself, what you want it to look like, because if you go into it with an idea in mind and try then to make the ecosystem kind of work for the organism, it's not going to work out well. What I want you to do instead is think about the ecosystem, think about the place that it lives and how it's going to need to get different things that it requires. I mean, how is it going to get its food? Does it have any big predators? Does it need to breathe? Because based on the ecosystem and then on where it gets the things that it needs or the things that it has to have in order to survive, then you'll be able to blend all of those sorts of ideas to create something that exists completely new and different. Also, I'm going to need you to somehow use that element from chemistry. You have to use that element somewhere, either on the planet or by the organism has to be able to use it as well. I need a colored drawing of your organism. So again, don't sit there and say, oh, I want it to be a mix between a tiger and a bunny. No, start off with where it lives and what it needs to survive. And based on that, then it'll determine what your organism will kind of look like. So need a drawing, a picture of what it looks like. Don't worry about the label part. Unless there are images on there, like if you have spikes or poison, camouflage, whatever it is. If you wanted to label it so it's easier for the person to understand, go for it. Part 2, creating a food web. So you need to make a list of different producers and consumers and decomposers on the planet. You can include your own organism as one of these things. So if it is a consumer, you could put your own organism in here. But then I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 other organisms within your food web. No, they cannot be organisms that already exist. So you have to create something like a flutong or I don't even know what other weird names. They can be very similar to organisms on our planet, but they have to be slightly different. So what you're going to be doing with all of that is what you've done in the past, creating a food web. If you wish to use Google Drawing to be able to put the arrows in, you can do that. No, you do not have to draw each of these different organisms, so you're fine with that. You can use the names, but I do need arrows pointing the directions that they have to go. That gets inserted there. Part 3, population dynamics. That should look pretty similar to something that you have already done before. And the idea is, yes, you can go back and use your notes or look at that summative and reuse some of those informations if you would like. Continuing on, part 4 has to do with Galorbs. Sorry, I have to hurry because I only have 30 seconds. Talks about it's a type of alien that's found on that planet, so you can read through that. And then part 5, you also have something like the sea otters. Again, you can look through all the different summatives that you did. I got 5 seconds. If you have questions, come up and see me. Work for half the